Self-aware leader, Jason Rigby here. Guys, if you haven't gone to our website, selfawarepodcast.com, I encourage you to do that. We've got books, all the leadership books that have helped me out tremendously over the years. I have listed. You can click on them. It takes you directly to Amazon. Helps us out. Helps the channel out. Also, I have all my coaching programs on there. If you want to be coached as an individual or you're a business and you'd like me to come speak to your people, I'm more than happy to do that. I do that quite a bit, actually. Super awesome. Selfawarepodcast.com. I'm going to talk about something extremely vulnerable about myself. Something that I've experienced for a lot of years, and I'm still working on it. And I was talking to somebody that I open up to a lot, really good friend, and we were talking about that we both have this. And I'm like, if he has it, and I have it, and I've talked to others that have it, then maybe one of you or a few of you or the thousands that listen to this podcast, there's someone out there that has this problem too. And that's who I'm speaking to. And that's this unsettling feeling that people are against me. People are against me. What do you mean by that, Jason? Well, you know, if this is you, then you automatically like, yeah, I do have that. I don't know how to handle it. I don't know what to do, Jason. Well, for me, it's I'm working really hard. This person always takes advantage of me. I've been in relationships where I'm doing 80 and they're doing 20. This is my perception of it, which we're going to get into how that is false. And I'm not discounting how you're feeling at all, so I don't want you to cut me off here. I just want to share with you what the ego does in these problems. And perhaps you felt this too, that people are against you, that you're always like going uphill. You're always battling everyone. And that's lonely, guys. I know. I've been there. I was homeless, attempted suicide in the biggest way possible, going off a bridge, survived. That's another whole story. But it makes us question our purpose and abilities and the vision that we have, especially as leaders, if we feel like we have this conspiracy theory that's out there that people are against us, or people are taking advantage of us, or I don't understand this person's true intention. They seem like it's negative, and I give, and they just take. Well, for me, it's a spiritual problem. It's an interpersonal conflict and a professional challenge and a struggle and a spiritual battle, a tug-of-war between my ego and my higher self. My ego, driven by a need. It needs to have validation. It needs to have control. And my ego, it's this little devil that loves to whisper in my ear. And it wants to convince me that I'm constantly under attack. In fact, you know what, Jason? You need to get in fight or flight mode right now because you don't even realize what conspiracy is happening behind your back. Next thing you know, your boss is going to come in, or this person's going to come in, or this team leader is going to be this, or the CEO, the CFO, the CMO, the CTO. All these people are out to get you. I'm under attack. Oh no, let me be on the defense. My relationships. I got to be prepared. Any moment I can get fucked over. And my ego whispers these convincing little thoughts, and it magnifies negativity in my life. And what I've began to understand on this is that it distorts my perception of true reality. Because we've all seen the people that have had mental health issues, and I have friends of mine that have had this where they've had family members that have had this, where somebody's schizophrenic. And that's the extreme on this, right? It's distorting my perception of reality. And I've come to realize that this ego-driven perspective is just all it is an ego defense mechanism. It's a shield against perceived threats to my identity and my fragile self-worth. What have I built my identity on? Have I built it off of my higher self? Have I built it off of loving, kind, and being gentle and caring? Or have I built it? What have I built or is my identity just solely off of what I do with the tasks that I complete, with the work that I'm doing? That can be under attack then, right? The ego can manipulate that. Self-worth. If my self-worth is totally based off of the car I drive or the house that I have, and a lot of us have that. Especially men have this more. If you have a masculine trait, if you're more masculine, you'll have this too, where it's like this whole idea of material possessions make me as a person, especially if you're entrepreneurial. And that's what we see all over Instagram, right? My self-worth is tied into the vacation that I can have. My girlfriend, she's able to have Louis Vuitton and Chanel and all those, and Gucci and all that stuff. And this is a natural human response, guys. It can be damaging and incredibly damaging, and people have really screwed themselves over and their business over. So it's serious, but it's a natural human response. So why does your ego act this way? I'm going to get really specific because I've really broken this down. As a self-aware leader, as we all are, we do self-awareness. We dive in. We ask tons of questions. I'm going to give you the specific questions today, guys. And I'm going to not only tell you how the ego acts, I'm going to give you a path to be able to understand this. And along with the past, I'm going to give you the self-aware questions to ask to bring all this up in a good way. Then I'm going to give you some affirmations that you're going to need to say every time the little ego sneaks in there. This person's against me. This is against me. I don't want to do this. It's passive-aggressive. We're going to give you an affirmation that's going to help you with that. And then we're going to learn how to embrace vulnerability. So let's get into this. Why does my ego act this way? Deep down, my ego is trying to protect me. It's not very smart. My ego is not very smart. It's like a teenage kid trying to protect me. And it sees any challenge or any criticism as a threat. It has no emotional intelligence hardly. So it wants to quickly, if somebody says something kind of slide off, they're not even meaning it, it's like a dead blow. It's like a UFC leg kick to my self-esteem. And so my ego goes in this defensive stance, and it wants, get this, guys, this is opposite of love, opposite of unity, opposite of oneness. It wants to create a sense of separation. It wants to create a sense of isolation. So it has to feed the illusion. Get that? It's an illusion that I'm alone in my struggle. But we have to see through the illusion. We have to begin to understand that our worth as a leader is not defined by external validation or even the approval of others. True leadership comes from within. It comes from a place of self-assurance and an unwavering faith in your vision, in your purpose, in who you are, in who you have been. And I'm faith-based here, who God has made you, who your higher self has made you, who the universe made you, right? It's this unwavering faith, knowing that I am put in this position for this time to lead this company to do this thing. And I am the only one that can do that. Why? Because I have the gifts and the ability and the vision to be able to conquer this. And I don't care what people say. I have self-assurance and an unwavering faith in my purpose, my God-given purpose. Next, the path to self-awareness. And I know it's a long path. But I've learned to reflect on my feelings and explore the triggers and patterns that fuel this sense of victimization, because this is really what it is. These are the problems that we're having in the world today on both sides. And so I have to challenge negative thoughts. I have to seek evidence to support, to refute them as a super badass attorney would in a court of law. Like, I'm the top attorney in the world. I'm going to find the evidence to support or refute them. And I have to practice grounding myself, finding things that I need to do, like walking in nature is super important. It grounds me. It puts me in the right state of mind to be able to lead properly when I go out there. So whether I hike, I go for a walk, or I go to the park and drink some coffee, whatever it may be, nature profoundly helps me not to deal with my depression, to deal with my emotions, to deal with this craziness of thinking that people are against me. So this is a grounding tool. It's a practice of mindfulness, and maybe that's meditation for you. I don't know what it is. for each and every one of you, but you need to find that, because you'll observe when you can do these external things that will correct the eternal mindset, and you can get to the point to where you can look at that thought or look at that emotion and not judge it and seek feedback from it. And then you'll begin to be like, oh, okay, here's one. That's not real. That's not a real thought. This is just my ego playing a trick on me. Then you can begin to embrace these challenges. And you look at them as opportunities, like, here's an opportunity to grow. Oh, I'm getting triggered on this. So questions, self-aware questions. Here's what I ask myself. And you guys, if you're driving, don't write these down. But if you're not driving, get a pen and paper and write these down. Number one, I'll say them twice. What evidence do I have that people are against me? He's also in the show notes too, guys. What evidence do I have that people are against me? Your ego's it's gonna start freaking out. I have no evidence. It's just a hunch. I don't know if this person's just in a bad mood. Their grandma died. I have no idea. Why does my ego always want to make any type of confrontation, make it all about me in a narcissistic way? What evidence do I have that people are against me? Next one. Am I interpreting the situation accurately? Or am I letting my ego distort my perception? This is so important. Am I interpreting the situation accurately, or am I letting my ego distort my perception? It's like you've got these funny glasses on that you can barely see. That's the ego, and it's beginning to distort what you really, it's like, is that a horse? Is that a dinosaur? Like, what is that? It's distorting your perception. Next question. How can I respond to this situation from a place of strength and compassion rather than defensiveness? Dude, I am telling you, if you get this right, this one thing right here, how can I respond to the situation from a place of strength and compassion rather than defensiveness? What does strength and compassion look like? Oh, I'm going to call this person in my office and have a conversation with them. A loving conversation with them. Say, hey, we'll use a fun one. Hey, Karen, you said this. What does this mean? And it's so important when you look at that and you can begin to have that conversation. It will make you a better leader. Last question is, what can I learn from this experience to become a better leader? That's so important. What can I learn from this experience to become a better leader? I'll always after action reports, right? I was in the Marine Corps. Look at this and be like, okay, I just did a coaching session. It turned out here, there's probably some things I need to tweak. Let me get the person's folder. If you don't have a folder on each person with your coaching sessions in them, just picture yourself like a psychologist. You're a leader that coaches. That's what you do. Majority of your time is for coaching. And I talk about this in every episode because it's so important. And you're going to coach yourself too. So you're going to say, hey, we just had this conversation. I confronted this issue. I let him know how I was feeling in a loving, compassionate way. Here's what he shared with me. We don't even realize sometimes we think that we've given orders that are clear. And that's exactly a lot of leaders give orders. They don't ask questions for people to come up with ideas and kind of do it their way. You should never tell anybody what to do. Ask them. Say, hey, here's a project that we have. Here's what I'd love for you to do. Let's go over it. And should we get anybody else involved? Okay. Why don't you go over it in the next 24 hours and then come to me tomorrow at 12? I have a 12:15. Or we'll go to, even better, we'll go to lunch and we'll discuss it. How you would do this. Don't tell people, don't give orders. What can I learn from the experience to become a better leader? A lot of times what I found is having those conversations with people, as long as I'm loving and my intent is to bring unity and bring them together, it's going to go well every time. 99.9% of the time, the conversation goes amazing if my attitude is right. So here's affirmations. I love saying affirmations. I say affirmations hundreds of times a day, all different kinds. You need your weapons and affirmation like arrows. that you can just hit the ego with, hit the lower self with. And so these are like mantras for me. One is, I am in control of my thoughts and emotions. I am in control of my thoughts and emotions. I don't let anything external fuck with them. I am in control of my thoughts and emotions. Another one is, I choose to see challenges as opportunities for growth. I have my staff say this all the time. I choose to see challenges as opportunities for growth. Next, I am confident in my abilities as a leader. If you can't say this, you need to learn leadership more, guys. You need to be reading books on leadership. Podcasts like this, leadership podcasts, whatever your medium is, listen to books, read books. Most people try to wing being a leader like they try to wing being a parent. This is so important. You should be understanding how to, you're messing with human beings and lives, and you think that you have the ability. That's the egos. It's the trick, right? Next, I release the need for external validation and trust in my inner wisdom. I release the need for external validation. I don't need that from anyone. I'm trusting in my inner wisdom and my higher self of who I am. Last one is, I am surrounded by supportive and understanding people. And if you don't have that, if you haven't built a team that is supportive and understanding, then you've got some work to do, my friend. So how do we embrace vulnerability as a leader? I'll close in this. My journey as a leader is not just about guiding others. It's about guiding myself, isn't it? It's about embracing vulnerability, acknowledging my struggles, and sharing, as I'm doing right now, sharing my story with others. I believe that true leadership is born from authenticity and compassion. It's about recognizing our shared humanity and supporting each other on our individual paths, because everyone grows differently, don't they? Everyone's on a different level of consciousness. And I want to be the one. I want my higher self to run in there and help those that I serve, help those that I lead. And maybe my higher self can help their higher selves. And next thing you know, they're successful and they're kicking ass. And that was because of my leadership. I was able to help them to see things. It's so awesome when that happens, guys. So I invite you to join me on this journey of self-discovery. Let's together embrace our vulnerabilities. Let's constantly and daily challenge our egos. And let us all, guys, let us all lead with open hearts and open minds. This closed bullshit stuff that's happening right now. Because we want unity, right? We want to create a world where there's courage and there's authenticity. Guys, that's what it's about. Let's serve and love not just those in our work, but our families, our friends, anyone that we have influence around, that we lead. Let's serve them to the best of our abilities.